Hello students, welcome to the class. Today we'll discuss about clauses of Lucknow Pact. First clause, abolition of the India Council. The India Council of the Secretary of State operating from England should be abolished. So the Secretary of State for India was to be assisted by two under secretaries, of whom one should be an Indian. Secondly, provincial legislature. 4/5 of the members of the provincial legislatures were to be directly elected by the people of a board franchise and 1/5 to be nominated. So the number of members in the provinces was laid down in the scheme. The number of Muslims members was laid down for they were to be elected through separate electors. So on the whole, the proportion of Muslim members was large. For example, 50% in Punjab, 40% in Bengal, and 30% in UP. The minorities in elected bodies. So minorities should have adequate separate representation in elected bodies. Fourthly, limitation of the imperial legislature. So the defense, foreign affairs and political relations of India, that is declaration of war or signing of peace treaties, were excluded from the control of the imperial legislature. Fifthly, Imperial Legislative Council. The Imperial Legislative Council shall have 150 members. 4/5 members of the Imperial Legislative Council shall be elected, but 1/3 of these shall be Muslims elected on the principle of separate electorates. Sixthly, autonomy in provinces. So provinces were to be autonomous in their respective spheres. Seventhly, power of the Legislative Council. So here all bills passed by the legislature were to be operative unless vetoed by the Governor General in the council. If the same bill was again by the Legislative Council within a year, the government was obliged to pass it. So extensive powers was to be given to the legislature for control over financial matters. Eighthly, Viceroy's Executive Council. Here half of the members of the Viceroy's Executive Council were to be elected by the elected members of the Imperial Legislative Council. And religious interest. So here no legislative council, imperial or provincial, was to proceed with any bill or resolution affecting one or the other community if 3/4 of the members of that community opposed it on the ground that it adversely affected their interest. Then separation of judiciary from executive. So here separate executive officers should not have judicial powers. So members of the judiciary in every province were to be placed under the control of the highest court of that province. Then what are the significance of the Lucknow Pact? First significance, Hindu-Muslim unity. The joint scheme symbolized Hindu-Muslim unity. Both the communities agreed to compromise in some areas for the common good. So Tilak, who played an important role in it, had realized that the shock depended on Hindu-Muslim unity. So the Congress compromised on its secular character by accepting the scheme of separate electorates for Muslims. And the Muslim League accepted the principles of election and the majority rule. As a result of this pact, the Hindus and the Muslims worked together from 1916 to 1922. Secondly, unity within the Congress. So here the Lucknow session and the signing the Lucknow Pact brought about unity between the assertive nationalists and the early nationalists. After the Surat session of 1907, both the wings of the Congress were moving in different directions. They came together in 1916, and as a result, the Congress was strengthened. So the Congress Lucknow session of 1916, Ambika Charan Majumdar rightly remarked, if the United Congress was buried at Surat, it is reborn at Lucknow. Third significance from the government. The unity between the Congress and the League and between the early nationalists and the assertive nationalists became a threat to the British government of India. Until now, the government had been repressing the nationalist movement by using force. So the government now had no excuse for delaying political or constitutional reforms. So the government was also forced to adopt a policy of appeasement towards the nationalists instead of relying on the forces of repression. Fourthly, necessity to pacify Indians. As the First World War continued and the League impressed upon the British government that their demands for constitutional reforms should not be rejected if they wished Indians to be loyal to the British. So the government therefore felt it necessary to pacify the Indians by the Declaration of August 20, 1917, policy of gradual development of self-government institutions in India. Then what are the drawbacks, demerits, drawbacks of the Lucknow Pact? First, the Lucknow Pact did not involve the masses. It was confined only to educated and rich Hindus and Muslims. Second drawback, the pact seemed to have laid stress on separate interests of the Hindus and the Muslims and their separate political existence. So the Congress made this apparent compromise for the sake of political unity. They thought that unity with the League would put more pressure on the British government to grant political concession. By accepting separate electorates for Muslims, the Congress lost its secular character and paved the way of future communal tension. Fourthly, the pact provided representation in the council in excess of their proportion in the total population. Fifthly, the pact provided for a communal veto in legislature. Communal veto means, in the Indian context, communal veto means that a majority of each community, that is a majority of Hindus and a majority of Muslims, vote for or against a policy to be passed in the legislature. So the pact provided communal veto in legislation because no legislature could proceed with any bill if three-fourths of the members of a particular community opposed it. Sixthly, the Lucknow Pact was a temporary truce between the Congress and the Muslim League. The Muslim League still remained a separate entity with a communal outlook, advocating that the Muslims' political interests were separate from those of the Hindus.